Hey, Alan. How are you, buddy? I can't hear you. You must be on mute. Are you on mute? I can't hear you.
Now I'm
Now
off
I can
mute.
hear you, but I can't see you.
Well, somebody, I don't know why. Let's see here. I can see you. I can see you, but I can't. Somebody put
Because you
me on.
turned your video off. On the bottom next to mute, it says stop video. Push that button and then you'll be back on.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
Okay. There you go.
Now you're back
Good.
on.
Thank you. Did you have a minion tonight by across the street?
Barely. No minion.
Really?
I don't think there'll be a minion tomorrow night. I'll be gone.
Okay.
Harold will be gone.
We have a minion in my house. We had about 20 people by my house tonight. Yeah, my family's here. So we had a lot of people came over also. Milchamar. So didn't have to get out. So
Keep it.
anyhow.
Kenny, you're going to be in Oxnard?
Yes, sir.
Good for you.
Johnny,
Yes.
you're going to be in Los Angeles for Pesach?
Yeah, I'll be in Detroit.
Okay. No, because I'm planning to teach Daf Yomi at the shul, before Mincha.
So I'll have to learn 2 days on my own.
Okay.
Well, because, Kenny, try to learn by yourself.
I'll learn by
There's
myself.
I
have
can't
the
do
English
Zoom
anyway.
Saturday night. I can't do, now,
No, it was Sunday night.
Sunday night, we can do Zoom. In
You
fact,
want to do that? I'll do that. Or do you
yeah,
want to
Johnny,
just start Monday?
because I'm teaching a shiur on the Sefer I published, Kahal Hashem. Well, I could teach. It's after Mincha at Yavna. So, but this way more people can attend.
Yeah, I think a lot are out of town. I'm
Yeah,
out. Harold's out.
No, but Saturday night now Harold, it might be, where's Harold? In Florida. So that'll be midnight because we'll probably have to do the shiur like at 9
No,
o'clock.
not Saturday night, Sunday night.
I'm talking about Sunday night.
Yeah.
So we'll do 9 p.m.
Fine.
But Shabbos, Johnny, will do it in shul. Mario is not here, correct?
No.
Mario's in Europe. Forget him. I don't know what time zone he's in.
And this Elazar can also tune in Sunday night. So I think Sunday night we'll do by Zoom, but Shabbos we'll do at the shul.
Okay, we do the same thing the next weekend if you want.
The next weekend is Friday and Shabbos. So Thursday, we will try to learn Thursday morning. Friday, we'll have to learn in shul, but Saturday night, we'll learn by video. That's a good idea.
Are we learning Friday morning?
Yes.
Good, because markets are closed Friday.
Yes, we'll learn Friday morning. 8 o'clock.
Alan, you have to unmute if you want to speak.
Say it again?
Alan, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, but I got to go back and mute because I got a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Okay.
For
You
Harold and Walter, we were discussing that Sunday night, 9 o'clock p.m., Sunday night, Motzei Yom Tov Sheni, we will do a Zoom shiur. Shabbos, I'm going to teach in shul. Friday, we're going to teach 8 o'clock in the morning. Is Srika Reisman giving a shiur tomorrow? Yes or no?
No idea.
Okay, so if he's not, we will, because tonight I'm going to do a blot and a half. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, we'll do a blot and a half, which will make up for what happened yesterday. Yesterday, I had an emergency patient. And then Friday morning, 8 a.m. Shabbos will learn in the shul. So Walter and Kenny and Harold will have to learn by themselves, wherever they are. Maybe there'll be a daf there. And then Sunday night, we'll do a daf at 9 p.m. by Zoom. Okay?
Great.
Okay. Harold is on, but I didn't hear him respond.
And what do you want to do, Chol Hamoed? Do you want to do the same time all week?
Chol Hamoed, the same shiurim, 8 o'clock.
You want to do 8 or whatever you want, but we'll probably do the same time the whole week.
Well, we'll do Tsurba. I missed Tsurba this week, but I'll try to do Tsurba next week. Same thing, 7:30 daf, 8 o'clock tsorba. I don't think Tzvika has a thing, so it'll be 8 o'clock every night.
Okay.
Excuse me, except Thursday will be like 8 o'clock in the morning. Like Friday, like
Why?
when we do Friday.
You mean
Tomorrow
Friday?
night, tomorrow
How
Friday
night,
about next week, a week from this Thursday?
Yeah.
We'll do
Ernie,
in the morning, yes.
Ernie, tomorrow night.
Harold, does that schedule that we just talked about work for you?
No, Yontif's Friday. It's not Thursday night. It's Friday.
Friday.
So Thursday morning is when I'm gonna teach.
Why?
Harold, does that work for you?
I'm just
Yom
confused.
Tov is Friday and Shabbos. So Thursday night. is Yom-
Thursday is
I
that
can't
morning.
teach Thursday night because it's Yontif.
I know.
No,
I'm
it's
saying,
not Yom
that's what I'm
Tov.
telling Kenny.
No.
The second days, yes.
Next week.
Next
Then
week.
Oh, next week.
When Yontif is Friday and Shabbos.
Okay, yeah.
Kenny,
Okay, got it.
Kenny, you must have had a great day on the exchange today.
I did
that
have a
you-
good day. You know what I'm
Where
thinking
is Harold?
about?
Harold's
Sukkot. I'm thinking,
on,
oh,
he's off.
Sukkot. No, it's not. Okay, yeah. I screwed up. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, Lamed Hey.
Tomorrow night, what time are you learning?
Tomorrow night, we're learning if Tzvika doesn't give a shear, 8 o'clock. Otherwise,
that-
we'll learn at 7:30.
Is that enough time after B'dikat Chometz?
B'dikas chametz you can do at 7:30. So how long does it
Okay.
take you to do B'dikas chametz?
I already did my B'dika without a brocha, so I'm not worrying about it.
Okay, 1 second.
It'll work out.
1 second.
I'll do Badika after this year. It'll be fine.
Harold's back on the shear, so you can tell him what you want.
Harold, with the
Yeah.
times that we discussed are okay for you? Saturday night, Saturday is Yontif, so
Sunday night.
Friday we're gonna learn it.
Did you buy that shirt
Sunday
for
night, we're
Florida?
learning 9
I
o'clock.
had it already.
Midnight. It's midnight by you, so you can have midnight Daf Yomi.
I can't wait.
Magda, get up.
I'm so excited. What's the question here now? Where did Ernie go?
Asa Pipi.
Ernie's busy.
Okay, I'm glad somebody is.
I'm here.
I asked Rabbi Siegelman said, I don't need to do Badika here at all.
How come he
I'm
told you not to and he told me to do it? He's going to do a
don't-
light Badika.
I don't know. Harold, I
Yeah.
got told that tonight you do a B'dika without any brocha. And then tomorrow night, wherever you are, you put a little piece of chometz in your room. And then basically you do B'dika with the brocha. And then you can burn it. If somewhere you don't burn the hotel down, you can burn it.
I asked the same question. He says, yeah, I don't need to do anything. I do it all in the hotel. So I don't know.
That sounds strange.
Okay.
That's what he told me.
I've been doing this for a long time, I guess. You know.
I asked
these
him
are-
twice.
New rabbi, new rules.
It's
New
fine with
law.
me.
Sfeikas, they make the Sfeikas boring. So now it's fun because I didn't have.
Okay, we're on Lamed Hey Amid Aleph. So we said that when you do meet, when you give a get to a ketana, you also have to wait 3 months havchana to make sure they're not pregnant. Why? Gazu rabbanon ketana mishum gedoyla. Really, a ketana can't get pregnant. So what are you doing that she can't get married right away? You got to wait 3 months because it's a gzeira. You do it for an adult, you're going to get confused if you don't do it for the ketana. Do we do such a gzeira? If these were ketanas that cannot, we know for sure they can't have children, then you don't need to wait at all. That was a psak for a special occasion. What? That there was some kind of case like this? That means it was done because of this mistaken marriages between these men and women. And for a mistake like that, it's not shchiach, so there's no gzeira for that. Everyone, whether you do get, whatever you do, you have to wait 3 months except for a giyoires or a shivcha knanis that you freed. Aval Ktana Bas Yisrael, ain't it tzrich lamtin shlosha chadoshim. A Ktana doesn't require, b'mai. Ibe miyun, if she did miyun to her husband, ha'amar shmol chadazimna, that she doesn't have to wait. Ibe get, ha'ka amar shmol the boy. If a Ktana is given a get, she has to wait 3 months. Damar Shmuel, miyun abo ain't it tzrich lamtin shlosha chadoshim. If she did miyun, she doesn't have to wait. Nosan la get tzrich lamtin shlosha chadoshim. Ela biznus. What they're talking about is she was mezaneh. And that's why they don't have to wait, because znus by ktan is lo shchiach, and chachamim don't do gzeiros when it's a lo shchiach.
She can't get married. She can't get pregnant anyway. So what does any of this matter that it's not shchiach? It is shchiach.
Because
She can't get pregnant.
the first, look at the first line of the daf. Gazu rabbanon ktana mishum gedoyla. So it's all a gzeira, but if it's a lo shchiach, so the whole, we just analyzed, Shmuel already taught the din of miyun. He already taught the din of get. So the chiddush here was because of znus. If she got pregnant during znus, then is when they said of a ktana bas Yisrael ein etzricha lahamtin. So the shaila is why not? Because znus by ktana is lo shchiach, and therefore they don't have to make that gzeira. Because otherwise, if you don't make that, you'll think even by an adult, if she's mizan and gets pregnant, you don't have to wait. The gzeira is always to protect in a real case. Kenny asked good, but that's the pshat in lo shchiach. So the Gemara asks a good question. Gioris u'meshachrach t'shchiach biznus. Goyim and shivchas, they fool around a lot. So there is nus, ligzer. We said chutz migioris u'meshachrach gedoyla, they don't have to wait. Why don't we have to wait? They're mizanim, we're not going to know who the parent is. So who do Amakrab Yosi the Tanya Gioris vashvuya vashivcha? A Gioris, a convert. A shvuya, a girl taken prisoner. Shivcha, a Eved Knani, sheniftu, who were redeemed, Vishin is Gairu, or converted, Vishin is Shtachru, or freed. Tzrichos lahamtin shlosha chadoshin div Rabbi Yehuda. This Tanakama holds they have to wait, because maybe they were raped and they're pregnant. We're not going to know who the father is. Rabbi Yosi mater le ores v'linose miyad. Rabbi Yosi didn't require them to wait. The question is why? Amar Rabba, my time at Rabbi Yosi. Ksavar, isha mezana mishameshes b'moch kadesh lo disaper. These women who are taken captive by pirates, or a shivcha, or a giyoris, they, if they're going to fool around with znus, they're going to use a condom, a IUD.
Moch.
Yeah, like a sponge, some kind of contraceptive that she places there. That she places to prevent her from getting pregnant, and therefore she can get married right away. So I understand why the Gioris is mishameshes b'moich. She wants to convert minter and nafsha, so she's going to watch herself because k'dei lavchin bein zeresh and Israel bigdusha, bein zeresh and Israel shelo bigdusha. She wants to know that if she gets pregnant, is this a child from a goy, or is this a child from a Jewish husband? Shvuya v'shivcha, a prisoner who's going to be redeemed. V'shivcha nami, deshami mimarayu. They're going to hear from their master that they're being redeemed or freed. They're given advance warning. So if they're going to have znus, they're going to use a contraceptive. However, there is a case of a shivcha who goes free where there's no advance warning. When you're going to be meshachrer, you get advance warning. But if he knocks your tooth out, or if the master knocks your eye out, you go free right away. So you've been mizana and you have not protected yourself with contraceptive. Maybe Rabbi Yossi will be moide that since that type of shivcha goes out and she doesn't know, maybe he'll be moide that they have to wait 3 months. Vatnan. It's not like that. Anusa umafuta, a woman raped. That's certainly a case that a woman cannot put a moichin in anticipation that she's going to get raped. But Rabbi Yossi matir lo rasvil nasa miyad. So even though she didn't prepare herself, Rabbi Yossi is matir. Well, how could he be matir? She does the flip. She does like somersaults. After Bia, they had this concept that if you flipped and jumped and all of that, the zera would not be coilate in the uterus. And therefore, that's why she can get married right away, according to Rabbi Yossi. But how come Rabbi Yehuda says she can't get married right away? She didn't do her somersaults good enough.
Let me ask you something. A woman that's captured in a war, that's what you call it. A woman.
Shvuya. Shvuya.
No, but if he takes her for his wife, he takes her, wants to marry her, and so she has to wait. So it doesn't say that she has to wait 3 months. He just does it for a month. She has to sit. Shiva doesn't say 3 months. Should be the same thing. Maybe she was pregnant.
She's a goyet, Elazar. She's a goyet. We just said chutz migiyores u'mishuchreres that they don't have to be mamtin at all. They can get married right away.
So if the child,
a girl taken prisoner from goyim, that's Eishes Yifas Torah.
Yifas Torah, right?
So she's not Jewish, so she's now being Medayer. So that's, you don't need Hamtana there, because she's Misapekas. That's the Shita. That's explained.
In other words, while she was a goy, she did all these things to prevent from.
Yes.
We say, okay.
Yes. B'mahayu Kohanois, we said, the Mishnah said if she was the daughters of Kohanim, they can't eat truma. If she was mezaneh. Yisraelis lo. Meaning, it sounds like if they were regular Yisraeli married to Kohanim, that they could continue to eat truma. That can't be either, if they're nifsal as a zona. Ema, so we amend, imhayu neshe Kohanim, if they were wives of Kohanim and they were mezaneh, they can't eat truma anymore. But Neshe Kohanim in Neshe Yisraelim lo. Now, are you telling me then that, let's say, the husband and wife, she's a Yisraeli, she's not married to a Kohen, and they're mezaneh, that what, she's kosher to Kohanim? V'amar Rav Amram Hamil Sarmal and Rav Sheshes, V'anrinu Li'an Yimas Tis, an Eishes Yisrael Shenensa, a wife that gets raped, who's a Yisrael, she can go back to her husband. But psula l'kuhuna. She's an Eishes who got raped, so therefore she's a halachic zona, and therefore she's posel l'kuhuna. Amar Rav Achi Kamer, Imayu Kohanas Nesuas liYisrael. This is talking about a different story. You have a Kohen female, Bas a Kohen. So when she's single, she eats truma in her father's house. Now she gets married to a Yisrael. She stops eating truma. Now, if the Yisrael dies, she technically, she goes back to her father's house and can eat truma. But if she was mezaneh, she's nifsal from going back to her father's house and cannot eat truma. As long as she doesn't have a child. Remember, if she has a child from the Israel, she can't eat truma if her husband dies. But in this case, she's nifsal by a bia sister, which makes her a zona and prevents her from eating truma. It's a very difficult paragraph.
Very difficult, but it seems like that the Chachamim knew what the rov was. In other words, what happened in most, and that caused the heter to happen, and it's a real pure heter. It's not crazy.
Could you say what? I didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm saying that basically in all these cases, right? You see, there are the Chachamim basically based it on nature or the rov, and that rov became a halacha. That's what happens.
You're talking
Seems
about shliach.
like-
You're talking about the cases of
No, it's
shliach.
not.
with-
It's not only shiach. It's a shema. Everything is a shema, but they make it into a bari. In other words, they took the odds and they say the odds are this, and therefore that's the halacha. It's crazy. It's unbelievable.
Okay. Mishnah. Hachoyletz liyavimto. So Reuven and Shimon, Reuven dies. Reuven's wife falls to Shimon, and Shimon does chlitza. Okay. However, Nimtzes Muberes, a month later, she's pregnant. Not only that, Violda, and she gave birth. So technically, this was not a woman who fell to Yibum. There was no Zika, because Neshesach with children there's no Zika to the brothers. So the chlitza doesn't have any has no validity. And that's important. Bisman Vlad shel kayama. If the Vlad lives 30 days, a child is a nafil. Even when a child is born, it's got to live 30 days before we consider it a Vlad shel kayama. And if it's a Vlad shel kayama, so it's as if the chlitza never happened. Therefore, hu muter b'krovoy seha. He can marry her relatives. V'hi muteres b'krovav, and she's right. Once you give chlitza to a woman, it's as if you married her, and therefore you're usher and their relatives. But this chlitza was really was not a chlitza. It was not a valid chlitza because she wasn't a bar chlitza. There was no zika to break. And therefore, velo pasla min kahuna, this woman who got a chlitza normally would not be able to marry a Kohen. But here, since retroactively the chlitza was not a good chlitza, she can marry a Kohen. Now, ein avlad shel kayama, let's say the child chas v'shalom dies a week after being born. So it's as if the brother died without children, even though she was pregnant and gave birth. It's got to be a vlad shel kayama to pater, to say that there's no yibum. Therefore, the zika was a zika, and therefore the chlitza is a good chlitza, and therefore who asur b'krovay se'av? He asur b'krovav. The man and the woman are asur in their relatives.
Does that mean the baby has to live a second or a month?
Has to live 30 days. I said 30 days to
Okay.
be yotze me from the status of a nafil. Nafil is like a miscarriage. So even a child 15 days old has the status of a nafil. Halachically.
Hmm.
You need to be 30 days old, the child, then it's a vlad shel kayama.
So if she's pregnant when her husband
But they
died,
didn't know, Kenny, this is a case that they obviously didn't know, right? She wasn't showing.
but let's say she is showing,
Well, that's a
but
different
the
story.
baby might not live. Like, why shouldn't she do?
Well, so what happens there, they'll wait. They won't do anything until she gives
Okay.
birth. Until she gives
No.
birth. If the Uber is hooker, if the pregnancy is recognizable, they're not going to give her chlitza.
Yeah. Okay.
They have to wait until she gives birth, and then it's Vlad Kal Shakiyama. Then the multiple wives go free and can marry whoever they want without chlitza or yibum. There's no yibum. The brother died with a child. But we're talking about 2 weeks after the husband died, the brother gave chlitza. And now 3 months later, she's pregnant. So we wait. We also don't do anything until the birth and see it as a vlad shel kayama before we decide on the validity or non-validity of this chlitza. Now, up until now,
Yeah, but there's no issue in the fact that he married her 2 weeks later when he was supposed to wait 3 months.
he didn't marry her yet. He gave her chlitza.
Oh, he gave her chalitza, sorry.
Gave her chlitza.
But so then he couldn't marry her
Oh,
after.
hang on. Now the Mishnah is going to deal with Walter's question. Hakoinis es yevimto. He has relations with her a month after. V'nimtzes mu'uberes v'yolda. And then we also find out that she's pregnant. And clearly, pregnant from the first brother?
You don't know that.
Well, you can. Let's say the child is born.
How do you know that? The
let's
child
say
can
the
be born
child-
after 7
let's say-
months or 6 months.
Let's say he's coinus her 2 weeks after his death,
Yeah,
and the child is born 4 months later.
or no, 4 months later. But let's say that the child is born.
So we're gonna deal with your.
months later.
We're talking about first a case where we know for sure
There's
that
a
the
vadai.
pregnancy belongs to the first brother
Understand? There's a vadai.
in that case, because we'll see your case will be more complicated. So Aquinas says Yavim Tov and Nimtzis Muberes and V'yolda. Now, and it's Bisman Shavlat Shel Kayama. So what happened now? You're not allowed to live with an Eshesach. That's an erva. If they have children. And in retrospect, he lived with her perhaps many times, but let's say just one time. And then let's say they found out, now they stay away from each other. And they wait and the child is born. So retroactively, he had relationship with an Ashes Ach. Not an Ashes Ish because the husband died. So, but you still have to be Yotzi. He's not allowed to stay married to her. This is his wife. Because by a Yavama, when you do Yibum, when you sleep with her, you acquire as your wife. So you got to give her a get. There's no Zika anymore. You made her your wife with the Bia. So you force a divorce. Yotzi. Not only that, v'chayavin b'korban. They both b'shogeg lived with an erva that gets kores.
What do they call it? Chayav and Asham?
Chayav a kores. Because we know vadai, they lived with an eshesach.
But I understand, but what kind of a korban?
Korban chatas. For violating a kores. Because you get kores for living with eshesach, with banim. So chayavin b'korban chatas. Eshesach shelo b'makom mitzvah. Now, the main Vlad shel kayama, let's say the child dies after 2 weeks. So then it's as if the brother died without children, and therefore Yikayin. Therefore he can stay married to this woman. Therefore he did a correct ibum. Now is Walter's case. Suffolk ben Tisha Larishon, Suffolk ben Shiva Lachra. We don't know. Right, so Suffolk. It's born 7 months later. So it could be 7 months, because at the time of Chazal, the earliest pregnancies were 7 months. So it could be 9 months from the first brother, 7 months from the second one. So Misafek Yotzi, you got to force a divorce. But we don't say that the child is a mamzer, havlad kosher. Because if it's the first brother's child, well, he was married to her. So there's no problem there. And if it's not the first brother's child, it's his child, then the yibum that he did was also correct. So the vlad is always kosher in that case. Fantastic. In these cases of Suffolk, the vlad is perfectly kosher. Because
but if she was pregnant from before, he did a
so that's his wife. He's allowed to have a child with his wife.
Yeah, but he didn't do according to halacha. He's supposed to wait 3 months.
No. We're talking about the first brother. It could be he's the father, or it could
but the second brother, the first brother who died.
They waited in this case, they waited 3 months.
No, it doesn't say that.
It doesn't make a difference. If he waits,
it makes a difference because there's a halacha that says you got to wait 3 months. Doesn't matter.
We'll see. The daf kamina will be whether hooker ha'uber or not hooker ha'uber. If hooker ha'uber, they would certainly make him wait 3 months, definitely. And if it's not hooker ha'uber, then in the din of almana, we'll see what the din is. Is it 30 days or is it 90 days? That will depend. So anyways, it doesn't affect the child. Let's say he married, let's say they want him to wait. If the miman of shech, if it's the first brother's child, it's a good child. And if it's the second brother's child. It's not a mamzer. The Rabbanim tell you wait. But if you don't wait, it doesn't create that the child is a mamzer. The child is the second husband's child.
You have to bring a korban though. You marry.
No korban. We're talking about the kashrus of the child. Is he a mamzer or not? And there's no, we're talking about here that the Vlad was not kayam. So there's no korban. He didn't live with an Eishes Ach with a child. The child didn't live. So the yibum that he did was a correct yibum. So there's no korban, there's no averur. And the Mishnah points out to us that the Vlad is completely kosher for the reason I just explained. Mimanavshach, like Rashi says. Now, chayavin ba'asham tolui. Now, let me explain this. You have a piece of fat in front of you, and you think it's permitted fat, and you eat it. And a guy comes by 5 minutes later and says, you know that piece of fat you ate? That's chaylev. So you ate it b'shogeg. That's a classic korban chatas. We know for sure you ate a piece of, there's only one piece there, you ate it, and it's not, you thought it was kosher and it was chaylev. Classic case of korban chatas. Now let's say you had two pieces in front of you, and you ate one of the pieces. And somebody comes by and says, you know, one of those pieces was chaylev. So we don't know, the guy doesn't know whether he ate chaylev or not. That's the classic case of an asham tolui. You bring an asham which suspends you until such point in the future that someone shows up and says, oh, you know that piece you ate? That was really chaylev. Then you have to bring a chatas. So the asham suspends you until you bring that chatas, or you die. The asham, and you have kapara through your misa. That's how asham tolui works. So here, it's a suffix whether the child belongs to the first brother or whether it's his. If it's not belonging to the first brother, then maybe he lived with an Eishes Ach with Bonim, and he'd be chayav chatas, but we don't know that for sure. So it's a suffix chatas, so he has to bring an asham tolui. Everybody get that? It's a very important concept.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Itmar. Gets more complicated. So he gave chalitza to Reuven's wife, Reuven had died, and she was pregnant and she miscarried. Now, and there were Reuven had other wives. Rav Yochanan Omer ein tzricha chalitza min ha'achim. Since retroactively we know there was no child, the chalitza is a good chalitza, and the brothers don't have to give her chalitza as well. Because remember, we learned that if the chalitza is a weak chalitza, the other brothers, it's not enough, it won't pater all the brothers with one chalitza. Rabbi Yochanan says it's a good chalitza. No, you need, it's a weak chalitza because she was mu'beres, in retrospect. Wasn't done appropriately. You shouldn't give chalitza to mu'beres. Rabbi Yochanan, because chalitza mu'beres shma chalitza. When you give chalitza to a pregnant woman, it's still a good chalitza. Unless later on she gives birth to a valid child, then we say retroactively the chalitza is nothing. She could even marry a Kohen. That's how Rav Yochanan learns. Not only that, he says, Bia mu'uber shma bia. If you had relations with this pregnant girl and then she miscarried afterwards, the bia is a good bia and would acquire her through yibum. Even though when he did bia with her, we know now that she was pregnant. Because Rav Yochanan holds the bia is a good bia. However, she needs another chalitza because chalitza mu'beres lo shma chalitza. Ubias muberes lo shma bia. Now, what really is their machlokes? But my kamiflagi. E-boy say makra. Some say they're arguing a pasuk. V-boy say masvara. Some say they're arguing a logic. E-boy say masvara. Rav Yechon Sover im yavo Eliyahu. The yomer dahad idiabra mapuli mapla. If Eliyahu Hanavi would have shown up before anything had happened and told us that she would miscarry, so milav, and we don't know that. And he gave her chlitza, or he did bia with her. Milav bas chlitza v'yibumi. She would be certainly a woman oimet to chlitza and yibum. Hashtanami tigli mas milsa. My friend, this happened the same thing. Retroactively, we have knowledge now that she was not going to have a child. So who cares whether we know it now? We know it lemafrei. That's basically the svara of Rav Yosef. Reish Lakish Amar tigli milsa mafrei lo amrina. We're not going to say a lemafreya something. At the time, it was not roy for you to give chalitza to a pregnant girl. We should have waited. It's only after the Maisa that it came clear what was what. We shouldn't rely. It's not a good chalitza. V'boy say makra. Rav Yechon Somer uvein ein lo amrachman v'halesle. The Torah says yibum takes place when he has no child, and here in the end she miscarried and he had no child. So why shouldn't the chalitza and the bia work? Reish Lakish Sover uvein ein lo ayin alav means investigate what kind of ben is this. And this fetus, at the time when she was pregnant, we should have been ma'ayin in it because it's a ben. And therefore, the mitzvah yibum doesn't take place fully. Eitz Rabbi Reish Lakish says, Einav lachal kayama, if after he gave chlitza, the child doesn't survive, so then the chlitza is a good chlitza because she was oimed liyibum. Because in retrospect, the brother didn't have a child. So who asr b'krovis sevi asr b'kroivav? Upasal b'nakuna bishma l'didi. Damina chalitza muber shma chalitza. This makes sense according to me. That the chalitza, when she was pregnant, had effect. After she miscarried, it retroactively shown that the chalitza was a good chalitza. Mishumachi pasla. Ela diditcha, but according to you, the amar chalitza muber shloshma chalitza. The chalitza of a pregnant is not a chalitza. My pasal na kahuna. Why should she be pasal from kahuna? Amar le midrabanan. In fact, she's not pasal from kahuna because the chalitza is not a good chalitza. It's just the chachami made a gzeira l'chumra ba'alma. Ikedi amar, other people learn the sugya differently. Eitz Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan. Ein avlad shel kayama. We said if he gave chalitza, and then the child doesn't live. So we say the chalitza retroactively is a good chalitza. Who also bekrovis said the asr bekrovis who possible nakuna. Bishmal Didi says Reish Lakish damina chalitza muberes loshma chalitza. Hainu diktani possible nakuna lechumra. That's right. Technically, she would not be possible from a good. We say it lechumra because really the chalitza was not a good chalitza. And in notice it also doesn't say v'loktoni ein etzricha chalitza min achim. If it's really a good chalitza, it should have said, and she doesn't need chalitza from the brothers. Why did, according to Rav Yochanan, why didn't it say in the Mishnah? And you know what? The brothers don't. It's a good chalitza, powerful, and the brothers don't have to give her chalitza. Amr leina chanami. And that is what it should have said. But I did it Tana Reisha lo pasla, Tana Seifa pasla. It was just symmetric with the Reisha. The Reisha said, in the case where there was a child, the chalitza retroactively is not a good, didn't have any meaning, and therefore doesn't puzzle for kahuna. Tana Seifa pasla didn't say anything about whether the achim need chalitza or not. Eitz Rav Yechon Reish Lakish. Ein avlad shel kayama. If the vlad doesn't survive, we said, and he had done yibum, Yikayim, the yibum was a good yibum, and therefore it's his wife, doesn't have to divorce her. What is Josh doing here? Bishma l'didi damina chalitzas muber shma chalitzu bias muber shma bia Rabbi Yochanan, who says the bia of a muberes is a good bia mishamachi, Tani Yikayim. He made her his wife. It should, if the bia was not a good bia, the Mishnah should say he should have another bia with her, and then he can mimakayim her. So Enfred Reish Lakish Ma Yikayim Yachzer v'Yivol v'Yikayim. He has to amend the Mishnah and say, yeah, he has to do another bila. The Losagi, because otherwise it wouldn't be enough. Ikedi Amri, Eis Reish Lakish Rav Yochanan. Ein Avlad Shakayama Yikayim. If after he did Yibum, the child does not survive, so therefore the brother died without children, therefore the Yibum's a good Yibum. Meaning he interprets the word Yikayim to mean he has to do Be'ila again. Why? Because the initial Be'ila wasn't good because she was a Muberes. The Losagi Belavachi, otherwise it wouldn't have worked. Ella Ledidcha. The way you learn Rabbi Yochanan, where you say that the Bia was good, Ratza Yoitzi, Ratza Yikayim, he has a choice. He can, like any man, can divorce his wife, or if he can keep her. If you're correct that the Bia is a good Bia. The Gemara says, Eina Chanami. That's Eina Chanami. It means Ratza Yotzi, Ratza Yikayim. But I did the Tana ratio Yotzi only, and Tananami Sefer Yikayim. It's just editorially written that way. Meisvei. I'll ask you a kasha. According to this, Yevim Tov and Nimsa Muberes. You lived with the Yavam and she was pregnant. Harezulo Tinase Tsarasa. The co-wife should not get married to anybody else. Because we have to wait. Shema Yevlad ben Kayama. Maybe the child will be a good child. And then she can marry anybody she wants because then the first brother had children. And she doesn't have to have any defect. And for the Gemara, I have Vlad ben Kayama, Miftarit Sarasa. In fact, what do you mean? If we wait and the child is born and it's 30 days old, so that Sarah goes free and can marry whatever she wants. So what do you mean, Lo Tinase Sarasa? The problem is, for the Tzara, maybe the child won't survive. There'll be a Zika, and perhaps the Chlitza or the Bia, whatever the guy did to the Muberes, is not strong enough to free up the Tzara, right? According to you, where the Bia was a full-fledged Bia and broke the Zika, why shouldn't the Tzarasa get married? She should be potter to go out to marry Lashuk because of the Bia with the Muberes. Abaya's matar, it's the Bia of a Yuvama Muberes. Everybody holds that it doesn't potter the Tzara. It's a weak Bia. And she would need something else. Chlitza. Ki pligi b'chalitza. The Bia, everybody agrees, is not good. We'll see. People are going to argue with Abaya. Ki pligi b'chalitza. Rav Yochanan Sarva Chlitzas Muber Shma Chalitza. But Bia Muber, he agrees, Lo Shma Bia. But the Chalitza is a good Chalitza, and therefore the Tzara will go out free. Reish Lakish Sarva Bia Muber Lo Shma Bia. The Chalitza Muber Lo Shma Chalitza. And therefore the Tzara doesn't go out free. Armele Rava to Abaya. There are 357 places in Shas where Abaya and Rava argue. Right? The Havayas of Abaya and Rava. Here's a famous one. Armele Rava Manav Shach. You can't have it both ways. Bia Muber Shma Bia, Chalitza Muber Shma. Bia and Chalitza go together. If the Bia is a good Bia, the Chalitza is a good Bia. The Bia Muberes Lo Shma Bia, Chalitza Muberes Lo Shma Chalitza. The Hakaim Alon, okay, now we're going to go, let me just turn this off for a minute. Leave. Let me see. Did I not record this? No. It is recording. So let me leave and sign on, and we'll do a little bit about this plot. 1 second. Okay. So now we're on Lamed Vav, 36, Yevamos. Rava says the Kola Oil Yibum Oil Chlitza. Whoever is royally Yibum is Oil Chlitza. V'chol she'ein Oil Yibum ain't Oil Chlitza. So what are you saying, Abaya? How can you split the B and the Chlitza? El Omer Avachi Kam. Akonis Yevim Tov and Imsi Muberes. You live with this Yevama and you find out that she's pregnant. Harezu lo tinosit tzarasa. So the tzara cannot marry. You have to wait to see what happens, right? Because we'll wait till this wife gives the birth. If she gives birth to a child, then obviously the tzara doesn't need yibum. There's no zika. He lived with Eishalach. He needs to bring a chatas and all that stuff. But the tzara has to wait. Shema yevla ben kayama. Ubias muberes loshma bia. And the bia of a muberes is not a good bia. The chalitza muberes loshma chalitza. If he gave her chalitza, would also not be effective for the tzara. V'avlad in a poitat sheyetze laver oilam. A vlad is not pater in a woman's womb. It's only pater when it's born. And that we said even more, it's got to live 30 days. And Tanya Kavose de Rav. There's a price like Rav Akarnis Yivim Tovanim Se Muberes. You live with the Yavam and she's Muberes. Arezulo Tinosit Tzarasa. The Tzarasa has to wait to see what happens. Shema Yevla Ben Kayama. And then she can go out without anything. Because why should the Tzara, it's because the Tzara, why should she get Chlitza unnecessarily? And that'll answer her from Kahuna. If the child is born, lives 30 days, then the previous brother had a child, and therefore these were almanas, not open to Zika, and the tzara can go out and marry whoever she wants. And of course, if that happens, the Shimon who married Ruvain's widows has to divorce the wife because he lived with an Eishasach, with Banim. Vein Bia Chalitza Poiteres. The Bia doesn't pater the co-wife and the Chalitza doesn't pater. El Vlad poiter. The Vlad, it paters the tzara as long as he lives 30 days. Ve'avlad ein poiter at sheyetze laver oilam. It doesn't pater as a fetus. Time of the Shema Yevla ben Kayamuhu. The reason why it doesn't pater the fetus, the pregnancy itself, because maybe this will be a child 30 days. Halav Yevla ben Kayama, implying that if there was a miscarriage, mifter tzarasa, then the tzara goes free. So you see the act of whatever you did, whether it's chlitz or bia, pater de tzara, lema tevet yufta de Reish Lakish. It seems to be a kasha on Reish Lakish. Armin cha Reish Lakish. Achiktani. According to Yevim Tovanim Semu Beres, you lived with a Yavam and she was pregnant. Arezulo tinosi tzarasa. Tzara cannot get married. Shema lo yevla ben kayama. Maybe the child will not be a good vlad, and whatever the coyness of a muberes is not a good knisa, so she can't marry until she gets either zika chalitza from one of the brothers or yibum from one of the brothers, because chalitza muberes loshma chalitza muberes loshma bia. The im toimer a little bit what Walter said halachacha rav noshim. Maybe we should go statistics that we should go after the majority of women, and majority of women who are pregnant, Rav Nashim Vlad Ma'ayan Yaldan, we say no. Vlad ain poiter at sheyetze lavra oilam. Even though that's correct statistically, we wait until the child is born before we do anything. That means you have to wait 30 days as well. On Rabbi Lazar, Efsher Isalad Reish Lakish Vlad Nan Lab Masisa. Understand, Reish Lakish had something that was not in our Mishnah. Nofak, he went out, Doc, he investigated Vashkach, and he found another Mishnah. This is not. Aisha Shahalach Baila V'Tzaraslam Disayam. How about this case? Reuven has two wives, Rachel and Miriam. They're unrelated. Miriam, the husband and Miriam go to China. And Rachel stays home in Los Angeles. The Amrullah Meis Balech. An aide comes and says, your husband died. And there's a Shimon is in town as well. And by the way, let's say Rachel is not pregnant and has no children. But we don't know the status of Miriam. So listen to this. Rachel is chained. Lotinase, she can't marry anybody else. Even though when they left to China, Miriam had no children. So that's why she can't marry anybody else, because there's a possibility that the husband and Miriam died without children. And therefore, she needs chalitza from the remaining brother. But also, velotis yabim. Yibum can't be performed by Shimon. Ad sheteda shemel muberes yitzarasa. We don't know what the status of that co-wife is. So what do we see from, this is a completely unsolvable case. We're never going to know what was the status of the tzara in this case, because unless we can send an investigator and find out. Now, what does the Gemara do with this case? Bishma Yevumi Lo. We don't allow Yibum by Shimon because Shema Yev Vlad. Maybe Miriam is pregnant with a Vlad that's going to live 30 days. The Yipaga B'Yisha say Shach Daraisa. We can't have Shimon living with this woman who could be an Eshesach with children, with the husband having children, that would be an Erva, Kares. Elaloi Tachlotz. Now, we say she shouldn't get chalitza either. Why not? Amai. Bishma Tachlotz B'soch Tisha, V'sinase B'toch Tisha Lo. Let's say it's within 9 months. Let's say it's within 9 months of the death of her husband. And she got married in those 9 months. That she shouldn't do. Because I knew Suffolk. Because that's going to be a Suffolk. We don't know. Maybe the Tzara gave a birth Ben Kayama, and the Chlitza is not a good Chlitza. And she needs a good Chlitza. Maybe she should get the Chlitza within the 9 months. V'tinase lachar tisha, get married after the 9 months. Either way, she should get married. Because if the Tzara gave birth a live child, so then she doesn't need Yibum. And if not, she's gotten Chlitza. And since the Gemara didn't give this as an option, Rish Lakish wants to prove that a Chlitza of a Muberes is not a good Chlitza. So Ulatameh, based on that reasoning, Tachlitz v'tinase lachar tisha is, even according to Rish Lakish, you could have Chlitza 2 years later and then marry. Then we know for sure. Mimonov shech. Ela bar minah dahi. Ein chanami. One of these two you could do. Maybe there will be a vlad of kayama of the tzara. The problem is like this. You gave her chlitza, but it turns out that the chlitza wasn't a halachic chlitza because the tzara had a full-fledged son. So you have to make an announcement for Kohanim that, you know what, this woman's chlitza was not a real chlitza and she can marry to Kohanim. So the Gemara says, well, what's wrong with that? No. Dilma iki inish davi b'chlitza v'lavi b'achraza. Maybe there will be people present when in Bezdin they gave her chlitza, but was not present at the announcement that it wasn't the real chlitza. V'asi l'meimer, people will say, kashari chlutza l'koyin. Oh, this Bezdin is being mater chlitzas to Kohanim. Armelei abayit midi lo tachlutz v'lotis yabim ktani. It doesn't say don't give chlitza. It says lo tinase v'lotis yabim ktani. Below chlitza, val ichol etzla hachanami d'shayin hachanami abayit says give her chlitza and shouldn't be a problem. And tiny kavos Rish Lakish achol etzmo pila. It's not a good chlitza. Tzricha chlitza min ha'achim we pass like Rish Lakish. Amar Rabbi Hilchos kavos Rish Lakish b'hani tlas chada hadamaran. What? So we just said this is the one area we pass like him. Idich. There's another. Normally, throughout Shas, we paskin like Rav Yochanan, except for 3 places. It's like we paskin like Rava in all places except 6 places where we paskin like Abaya, Bayal Kagan, Yud Ayin Lamed Kagan, Chav Gimel Mem Sofit. Those are 6 cases that we pass like Abaya. Here we will. Let's leave these cases for tomorrow. We learned a full hour, but it was a tough sugya, and I think it gives us a good yesod to this parak. How the dynamic of each parak has a little different dynamic in terms of the little chap you have to get. We got the chap about Chlitza versus Bia Muberes today.
See you tomorrow. Ernie.
Tomorrow-
Chag kasher v'sameach. Chag kasher v'sameach.
Why, you're going tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going tomorrow.
Okay,
Yes.
but you can zoom in tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
I will try. Not
Okay.
convinced. Where's Maria? Maria went away.
Mario's been in Italy for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
He
So
went,
yeah, I
right,
guess.
Johnny?
guess
He's in
it's-
Italy or Greece. He's somewhere.
He's in Italy.
He's in Italy.
Okay, so hopefully
But
you'll see.
Mario's been sending all the tapes.
You're right. That's great. Okay.
All right.
Enjoy, everybody.
Whoever's
Bye.
leaving.
Chag kasher v'sameach.
Not kosher, but
Thank you, everyone.